Hello, I am Lynette Pearson, and today I will be covering the book Learning from the Stranger, Chapter 6 by David Smith. In this chapter, I will highlight some main points of the chapter and give you the parts I agree and disagree with. Also, I will mention a framework or theory. Smith articulates how to engage with other cultures with a more considerate response and relevant learning process in terms of our Christian discipleship, which is loving our neighbor. Smith goes on to enlighten on how there are three phases of intercultural encounters he calls the before, the during, and the after. In the section Useful Kinds of Knowledge, this section was very interesting and brings to mind how we take our own cultural surroundings and for granted. Smith asserts that our everyday conversations being a set of shared mental references and historical experiences. Um, in other words, we have assumed knowledge until we are out of our comfort zones with what is familiar to us and suddenly becoming the ignoramus about our new environment. To remedy this, Smith says basic factual learning will show at least you have to put forth an effort to learn about another's culture and is a step toward loving one's neighbor. I agree with Smith on this because it is an effort to gain respect by the stranger if you have taken the time to engage and have intercultural learning. Learning social norms, I find it very important because you don't want to do something against the social norms and offend others. So, how do we achieve learning social norms? Intercultural communication that can be practiced and learned. Due to cultural differences, language is important and insignificant to the culture. We can't always rely on English language for communicating. I agree with Smith that a large portion of the world's population are bilingual. Taking advantage of an opportunity to enhance our learning and communication skills by learning a second language has many rewards. Another important kind of language that Smith points out is when we are in a stranger's cultural space with lack of awareness, it is more impressive to learn the essential skills to their environment. In the same respect, being conscious of how our own habits, behaviors, and forms of communication may be interpreted differently in another culture. Therefore, I agree that we need to know how to behave well. Smith makes a simple reference to the U.S. female students while in Europe who smile and make eye contact to passing strangers could be misinterpreted. I found Smith's analogy of some useful kind of ignorance interesting because he goes on to say learning acquires a certain kind of knowledge, but also cultivating certain kinds of ignorance if we understand too fast before we listen. I agree with Smith because conventional wisdom says learn all you can and prepare for all possible scenarios before we get involved into something. Although a constructed ignorance is a part of doing something great. In my research, I found an article by Samut and Satawi 2012 titled Perspective Taking and Attribution of Ignorance, which aligns with Smith and towards a social theory of ignorance and how human subjects make social judgments in regards to stimuli they face. As Smith indicates, people do not like being in the not know for long. So there was a little pressure to desire to learn and listen. My example, I was blessed to meet a family from India that turned into a long friendship During this time, I learned the culture out of respect, so that I would not offend my new friends. I learned simple cultural behaviors like no shoes worn in their home or in their temple. Smith makes a reference to the Bible that we should have humility and gentleness and bearing love, Ephesians 4 and 2. I couldn't agree more that we should value others and treat people how we want to be treated. There isn't anything I disagree with in this chapter. This chapter is loaded with teaching us hospitality, humility. Christ's self giving love is what the cross represents. Intercultural encounters and new knowledge when we encounter new culture realities. I think the topics in the chapter are relevant and relatable. And thank you for viewing my video and hope this video will be a blessing to you. And I can't wait to see what the last chapter of Smith's book will teach us. Keep the faith and bye for now.